Hello, I'm Patrick McNee. The Illuminati is said to be a global secret society that has been operating for centuries. A hidden brotherhood that includes some of the world's most influential people, people of all races and religions that hold top positions in government, churches, business, education, science, medicine, military, financial, and charitable institutions. A secret fraternity whose sole purpose is to take over control of the entire world's resources, finances, and its people. If such a powerful secret society does exist, it represents the ultimate threat to the free world. In fact, it means that right now there is actually no free world at all. Some say it's preposterous, but now for the first time ever we have obtained proof that not only such a global secret organization does exist, but it has infiltrated two of the most powerful intelligence agencies in the world. What's more, weapons of mass destruction have been hidden in the USA and other countries for future use. How could this happen? To get at the truth, we must first explore the dark reaches of the world's secret societies, whose history, rituals, and very existence are shrouded in mystery. Secret societies have existed for thousands of years. They all have one thing in common, unique knowledge, which they swear by oath to keep secret. For armed with this knowledge, limited to themselves, they believe they can control others. One of the earliest secret societies still exists today, the Masons. It is believed that its origins date back to ancient Egypt, when only a select guild of stoneworkers possessed special mathematical knowledge necessary for building the pyramids. Throughout history, Masons kept their methods to themselves so that only they could build the great structures throughout time that still stand today. First, the pyramids, and on to the great castles and cathedrals of Europe. But secret societies were not limited to tradesmen. The word assassin has its roots in a secret brotherhood of Shiite Muslim warriors that controlled northern Syria during the time of the early Crusades in the 11th century. Their speciality, they had perfected the art of killing. The sect was founded by Hassan-i-Sabah, called the Old Man of the Mountain, who ruled from a remote stronghold. Hassan indoctrinated his devotees with the promise that if they fought and died for Allah, they would live forever in paradise full of heavenly and earthly pleasures. He used the gruesome power of torture and murder to give his teachings special impact and assure complete discipline and devotion. Hassan gave hashish to his fanatical disciples to induce a feeling of invincibility before sending them on suicide missions. Hence the name assassin was derived from the word hashashin, or hashish user. By 1100, the assassins were said to number over 70,000 fanatically devoted members. About the same time in history, another secret brotherhood was created, the Templars. The Prieuré de Sion, Priory of Zion, was a chivalrous fraternity created in medieval France with the purpose of preserving the Merovingian bloodline and returning them to the throne of France. Their official headquarters was the Abbey of Notre-Dame du Mont de Sion in Jerusalem. In 1117, Baldwin I, King of Jerusalem, found himself greatly indebted to the priory for their services in helping him attain the throne. In return, the king negotiated the constitution of the Knights Templar as the military and administrative arm of the Priory of Zion. The Knights Templar had been created 10 years before for the purpose of safeguarding pilgrims on the road to the Holy Land. During their time in the Middle East, the Templars had contact with the Muslims, including the assassins. In fact, after the Crusades, because of the enemies they had in common, the assassins took refuge among the Templars, imprinting the Christian soldiers with much of their fanatical and deadly ideas. As the Templars developed, they became not at all an orthodox Christian organization. But their secret rituals and doctrine were much more mystical, heretic, and occult-oriented. As the power of the Templars grew, the Brotherhood developed into a church within the church, handling their own banking, revoking excommunications issued by bishops, and they answered only to the Pope.
Everything about the Knights Templar has at least an element of mystery about it. Right from its beginnings, it was founded just after the First Crusade, which had reopened the way between Europe and the Holy Land. And in about 1118, 9 French knights, all of whom were connected with the court of the Count of Champagne, went over to the Holy Land with this mission, they said, to protect the roads and the pilgrimage routes, to make them safe for pilgrims who would now be able to visit the holy places. Now, once they arrived in the Holy Land, there's actually no evidence they actually did anything for 9 years or so. And right from the beginning, there's something that doesn't quite connect. And there's other evidence that this mission of protecting the pilgrimage routes was actually just a cover story. They actually went there for another reason. For some reason, these 9 knights thought that there was something to be found there. There's certainly evidence that they excavated beneath the Temple Mount. Archaeologists have actually found Templar artifacts from those excavations.
As it turns out, the Templars spent very little time on the roads at all. Most of their 9-year stay was spent digging out old tunnels under the Temple Mount, the original site of the biblical Temple of Solomon. What were they looking for? The temples of Solomon had long since been destroyed. Yet in times of trouble, the priests were known to have hidden religious treasures in secret underground vaults until it was safe to remove them. The Bible tells us that the Ark of the Covenant and other treasures of the temple survived several foreign invasions in this way. Perhaps the Holy Grail had survived in the labyrinth under the temple as well, waiting for man to rediscover its power. Certainly it was no accident that the knights stationed themselves in a mosque that rested on the ancient site. In fact, it was after their stay that they changed their name to the Knights of the Temple, or the Knights Templar. A monk by the name of Bernard, who later became Saint Bernard, was involved in the formation of the Templars. Saint Bernard was involved in deciphering ancient Hebrew text.
Bernard, although in many ways a very worldly person, was also very spiritual. In ways that are quite odd for his time, he was very much into the feminine side of religion, very much into the Black Madonna cults of particularly of the south of France, which are very kind of mysterious, almost pagan. He had a great veneration for the feminine, embodied in lots of ways in the Virgin Mary, which was actually quite unusual for his time, and that appears to be the thing that drove him more than anything else. St. Bernard was a very learned man, again for his time. Yes, he studied the Hebrew text, studied other texts as well. It could well be something that he found in there that gave these people the idea that there's something worth having in Jerusalem. It's speculative, but it's a good speculation. It seems a very logical thing. You have people studying these old documents who suddenly want to get their people to some of these old places mentioned in these documents. They're looking for something. Personally, I honestly don't know what it was they found, except that people considered it important. Nobody knows for sure. Whatever it was, nobody knows where it went. And it's a real mystery. But there's no shortage of theories, any of which could be correct. Documents, Ark of the Covenant, Holy Grail, whatever that is, but they certainly had their secret.
A very old text records the find. We repaired to the secret vault and let down one of the companions as before. The sun at this time was at its meridian height, the rays of which enabled him to discover a small box or chest standing on a pedestal, curiously wrought and overlaid with gold. He gave the signal of ascending, and it was immediately drawn out. We had brought it up for the examination of the Grand Council. Just what was in this small box that got the Templars so excited? Clearly, a group of Christian knights, bound by the vow of poverty, were not interested in anything of material value. More likely, it was an object of great religious significance. To this day, we still do not know exactly what the Templars found in the secret vault. What we do know is that news of the find brought Count Hughes of Champagne, the man who bankrolled the expedition back to Jerusalem, to join his former vassals. Once there, he immediately gave up all his worldly possessions to serve under them, as one of the Knights Templar. It was after this discovery that the Grand Master of the Templars visited the Pope, and with Saint Bernard's blessing, the Order of the Knights Templar was officially recognized by the Church. All over Christendom, men rushed to join the Knights, leaving behind their families, giving over all their worldly possessions, and taking on the difficult vows of poverty and chastity.
Vow of poverty actually is why they became wealthy, because anybody that joined the order, anyone that became a Templar Knight, had to give all their possessions to the order. And it became quite a prestigious thing for noble families to have some of their sons go into the Templar order, and of course any money and property they had would go into the coffers. Also, when the Pope endorsed the order, gave it his blessing and said this is a good thing, anyone that wanted to impress the Pope donated land and money to this new order, and actually on a colossal scale. None of the individual knights were allowed to own anything, so that all this material, that land, castles, livestock, and just pure money that was just given to them as a gift, went towards the order. Their reputation was as the most feared, efficient fighting force on the Christian side. They were kind of the special forces of their time. Also because they were this mixture of monk and a soldier.
The Knights Templar had quite a career after the Crusades. They basically took over Europe financially, dominating all of the major industries, especially that of moneylending. They invented the modern checking system, and within a few years had all of Europe's kings indebted to them.
They were far too big for their boots in many respects, certainly as far as the Pope and many kings were concerned. They were unbelievably rich. It seemed there was no stopping them, basically. Most historians believe that they got their comeuppance because of their wealth. Essentially, the French king who started the suppression of the Templars, Philip the Fair, essentially that he was jealous of their great wealth. And it is generally thought that he used accusations of blasphemy and sacrilege against them. He wanted their money. The charges against the Templars were blasphemy and sacrilege, and that they failed to observe the usual reverence for the church, but that was well known. There were sexual elements in the charges, but then there are always spitting and trampling upon the cross, of worshipping not just a bearded severed head, but in some extraordinary cases they were accused of worshipping the severed head of a cat.
The Catholic Church got the confessions that it needed to suppress the Templars. On Friday the 13th, 1307, the Pope officially disbanded the Order of Knights. Their Grand Master was burned at the stake. By the middle of the 1300s, the Knights of Templar seemed to have completely disappeared and their treasury confiscated. But could the richest and most powerful brotherhood on earth and all their wealth be rounded up and seized almost overnight? No. The highly trained and organized Templars only went quickly underground, taking most of their wealth with them. They evolved into an enormously powerful and well-financed secret society. Indeed, as history unfolded, the facts show that Templars never went anywhere except out of the public view. But with one added dimension: an extreme hatred for the Catholic Church. At the same time, the Priory of Zion assumed that they would meet a similar fate from the Church. They too seemed to disappear, but again, only from the public eye. Over more than 400 years, from the 14th through the late 18th centuries, the Masons, Assassins, the Priory of Zion, and the Templars existed as relatively isolated secret societies with a limited reach, until, on May the 1st, 1776, in Bavaria, the human race saw what might be its darkest day. Adam Weishaupt, a Jesuit-trained professor of canon law, well-versed in the occult, formed a new secret organization that would unite all the secret societies for an unthinkable purpose: to gain complete control over the world and its resources, and to achieve total domination of its people. Weishaupt euphemistically described it as a new world order. His diabolical brotherhood was founded on a synthesis of the themes of secret societies that had gone before. He skillfully combined Masonic secret rituals and knowledge, the Assassins' Islamic mysticism, killing arts, and use of hashish, the Priory of Zion's influential membership, and the Templars' wealth, power, military science, and vendetta against the Catholic Church. To that, he added his own knowledge of the occult. It was not an accident that he chose May the 1st, a very important date on the satanic calendar, for the founding of his society. The group was called the Illuminati. The public translation was intellectually inspired. But Weishaupt himself said in private that the word was derived from Lucifer and meant holders of the light. The official seal of the Brotherhood was a mystical, unfinished pyramid, and an eye above it with rays of light emanating in all directions. The eye represented the all-seeing, all-knowing nature of the illuminated Brotherhood reigning above the world. To his followers, the founder listed the 5 top secret primary means that would be used to accomplish his dark goal of total world domination. 1. Monetary and sex bribery would be used to gain control of men already in high places in the various levels of all governments and other fields of endeavor. 2. The Illuminati, who were on the faculty of colleges and universities, were to cultivate the best students for the cause. 3. Influential people and specially trained students under the control of the Brotherhood would be placed behind the scenes of all government, religious, and financial institutions and used as agents. 4. The secret society would develop absolute domination of the media so that all news and information could be slanted to convince the masses that a one-world government is the only solution to our many problems. 5. The final phase of the operation would employ all resources in place to initiate military coups that would overthrow all opposing governments and put the world under one global government controlled by the Illuminati. The group was originally composed of 32nd-degree Masons and used various Masonic lodges as recruiting grounds and fronts. The highest-ranking Mason to be recruited was a nobleman from North Germany, Baron Knigge, also known as Adolf Francis, a major player in the European Masonic scene. The Illuminati were extremely secretive, even identifying themselves and their chapters by assumed classical names. For example, Weishaupt was Spartacus, Knigge was Philo, the headquarters was Eleusis, Austria was Egypt, etc. Dates were given in a sort of cryptography. Under Knigge's guidance, the ranks of the Illuminati grew to over 3,000. But so much rapid success also brought opposition. The Jesuits especially had fought the Illuminati from the first, and eventually all priests became its active enemies. The Catholic Church went on the offensive against the secret brotherhood. In fact, priests raised so much opposition that the governor of Bavaria declared the Illuminati to be an outlaw conspiracy by edict in 1784. Many Illuminati were imprisoned, and some, including Weishaupt, were forced to flee the country. Soon, not only Illuminism, but also Freemasonry was forced out of Bavaria. By the end of the 18th century, the Illuminati seemed to have completely disappeared everywhere. But the Illuminati was not really gone any more than the secret societies that preceded them. They just went underground and added one more item to their list of dark goals: infiltrate and bring down the Catholic religion. When we look around the world today, what do we see of the secret societies? Masonic chapters exist in the open all around the globe as a mainstream organization. The Order of Knights Templar today exists as the top-ranking Masonic organization in the York Rite of Freemasonry. What goes on inside Masonic halls is still relatively secret. Probably known only to their upper echelon members are the dark rituals, goals, and the vendetta against the Catholic Church. The Masons and Templars have very effectively integrated themselves into the world's most respected societies. To a lesser degree, the assassins have appeared publicly periodically throughout history. In the early 1800s, they were visible in India as they came under the direction of the Aga Khan, who they believed possessed divine powers. In the latter 1800s, the Aga Khan brought them to Afghanistan, where they developed a lasting relationship with the British. Later, the Aga Khan's descendants further infiltrated Western culture. One prominent example was when Prince Ali Aga Khan, grandson of Aga Khan II, married American actress Rita Hayworth. Are the assassins, as a secret murderous order, now a thing of the past? The bloodshed occurring today at the hands of Islamic extremists would say the assassins are alive and well. The Priory of Zion also continues to this day. In fact, it has been reported that a number of illustrious figures in history have served as the Priory's Grand Masters, and there is corroborating evidence. In 1975, a discovery was made in a Parisian library. Parchments were found called Le Dossier Le Carré. These documents indeed reveal that some of the secret members were Leonardo da Vinci, Victor Hugo, and Sir Isaac Newton. The Priory has been credited by some with the creation of the European Union. Former President of France, François Mitterrand, was believed to be a member of the Priory, and many other powerful people. As for the Merovingian bloodline that the Scions were pledged to protect, it continues on. Through incestuous intermarriage, most of the royal families of Europe can claim Merovingian descent. And it is said that from these royal families have come all 44 of the United States presidents. These connections around the world through the Priory of Zion provided the Illuminati with the means to influence politics and power around the globe. But what about the most secret society of them all? Adam Weishaupt's Illuminati, the brotherhood that vowed to bring all the other secret societies together to control the world. Is it still actively pursuing its diabolical plan of world domination? Indeed, shocking new facts that we have uncovered reveal that it is stronger than ever today. Studying a top-secret society is much like studying the current of a lake. The ripples on the surface give us clues to know what is going on in the darkness below. The Illuminati's grand plan required that it infiltrate the governments of all countries around the world.